She needs some glasses.
Who?
Oh, you.
Yeah, I do.
Whoever did come to, what's the name of it, Best Buy? That's what is it, American Best?
Oh, yeah, American Best eyeglasses.
All right. Ready? All right. All right. Would you consider this a want or a need? It is. And the thing is that like when it comes to, I want to talk to you a couple of things about cluttering and stuff because of the fact that cluttering has an effect on a lot of people's lives. Um, I'm going to share with you why people clutter, another reason of the effects that it has on people, and then another one of how to like maybe not be a person that clutters. Um, First of all, cluttering really, like you have a lot of clutter that really comes from advertising. When you go places on the internet, you got advertising everywhere. You got it on billboards, on vehicles, you got it, it's just like even on clothing and stuff. Like it's everywhere. And then on top of that, once they get you to go into being able to these stores and stuff, they have like little gimmicks that they do. For instance, like they already know that if you touch something, you're more likely to buy it. And the longer you touch it, the more you touch it or hold it, the more likely that you will get this. So they know this and stuff. And then they have stores set up to where like this item is here, so they know how people think and how they will buy things. They also offer you more. You buy this, you get this for free. And then another thing that they do also, when some people that come to your door, they'll sit there and offer you and say, well, they ask you a couple of questions. Just like they might say 2 questions, but if they get you to answer these questions, that might get them into your door, and now you done bought something you didn't need. Now in this era, we have a lot of things that like where you have schools are requiring people to have computers. Like you have classes that you might go into the class, but you still gotta do internet stuff. So now you gotta have computers, and you have jobs that require you to have computers. So it's like another thing that why people have to buy stuff. Now, you have effects from having too much stuff. Um, when you're looking at infomercials that sit there and tell you you get this and you got like 100 George Foremans in your house now, now you sit there and you're thinking that you're sitting there and you're thinking that, well, what are you going to do with some of this stuff? But the problem is that, like, for instance, like the lady named Abigail Proganin, she wrote an article in the Ford magazine where she talked about dealing with her parents' clutter. And she talked about how she went to go visit her parents, and they said when she got there, they had like over a whole bunch of hotel hand soap from over years of collecting. They had over 100 VHS, VCR tapes and stuff, but then they watch Netflix. But then they also have like 40 vases that they don't use. They have all these things. And these things have an effect. Another person named Michael Chow wrote in a Life Hackers magazine. He sat there and said how clutter affects your brain. He sits there and says that he sat there and he wrote and sit there and said that there was a person who wrote and he did a study, and he sat there and said that it's an anterior singular cortex and an insula, which is like two areas in your brain. And both of these areas, both of these places in your brain let you know when you cut yourself with a paper cut, or let you know if something's too hot. But when it's time to get rid of things, you have the same areas in your brain that get affected. So that's why it's hard to get rid of stuff. And the longer that you hold on to it, the more harder it is to get rid of things. So with that, you have stress that causes when you're mentally exhausted or you're physically exhausted. You don't want people coming over to your house because you got such a mess or like it's just so much going on. You know, so cluttering, like it has an effect in a lot of ways. Now, there's different things you can do for our solutions. A lady named Amelia Lucchesi, she wrote in the New York Times, she sat there and wrote saying that when it's time to get rid of things, let somebody else touch it and ask you the question. But don't you touch it when it's time to get rid of things, because you're more likely to keep it if you touch it. The show Clean House, where they sit there and they say, you know, where the person's not there, and they go and they clean the house out for them. Like, there's different ways that you can become a declutterer. And then also on top of that, you have to make rules for yourself. There was another person who sit there, her name was Jamie Novak, and she wrote in a book, Get Organized. She wrote and sit there and said that if you are to set a timer for like a little bit of time just to focus on doing a little bit of a job of getting rid of things, if you just stick with your time, it helps you to focus on that. And once your time is up, you just stop. And it makes you want to do more work, but your time is up, so you'll do some more later. But it helps you to focus and just kind of become a more declutterer. In another way, just keep things out your house. Like, think twice before you buy things. And there's a lot of different things you can do to become a declutterer. Now, one thing you have to realize is that to become a declutterer, you really need to realize that it's almost like a person that's a drug addict. Like, you have to want to become a declutterer. You can't, you know, if somebody come and help you clean up your house or do this and that, if you're not into that state of mind, you just become a clutterer again. So it's like you have to want to. That's the first step. And then once you get that, then you have to really recognize your needs from your want. You have to realize, because if you don't know your needs from your want, then you become a clutterer again. Now, I just wanted to say this, like, my last words is that, like, if you're in the jungle and you're looking up, it's a lot harder to see the sun. But if you're on a golf course where nothing's around, it's a lot easier. That's all I have to say. Yeah, I show everybody.
You filming me, man? I can talk to my agent.
I gotta show my note card too. So. Hold on, I gotta show my note card. Yeah. I can't get this to show yet.